And I kind of devoted myself from that point to letting patients know what the program couldn't tell them. Okay, and that's what I do. I spend a lot of time talking to patients, explaining what addiction is, explaining what recovery is. Pretty much their reaction is exactly the same one I have, which is, I didn't know that. Why didn't somebody tell me that 20 years ago? One of my favorite stories is I had this little PowerPoint show I do. I call it my dog and pony show, where I present it to patients who don't understand it. And I was doing it up at a clinic in Harlem, and it was a guy who worked for the city. And he was sitting there and he was watching this whole thing go on. And at the end of it, he wanted me to go home with him. I said, why? I said, what are you talking about? He said, I'll pay your taxi fare back and forth. I said, why? He said, I want my wife to see this. He said, I've been in treatment for 20 years. I've had a job for 20 years. I haven't done anything wrong. My wife still calls me the junkie because I'm on methadone. And, that would really, it turned me around. Those are the type of things, it makes it worthwhile, doing what we do. Because the stigma surrounding opiate dependence is such that no one will ever tell anybody else if that's what they're taking, if they're taking methadone or buprenorphine. And where I go, the doctor I see has patients whose wives and husbands don't know they're in treatment after 20 years. I find that amazing, but it's true. And that's why I'm speaking today. For the 250,000 patients on methadone, the thousands more on buprenorphine who we don't know, and probably even more for the millions out there who haven't come into treatment and aren't because of what they've heard about methadone treatment. I think that what's important is talking about recovery and the millions of people that I'm hoping are going to come and find treatment, find recovery. Our definition of recovery is to live a sober, happy, productive lifestyle. And two of those things, happy and productive, that's something the recovery person has to, define for themselves. And sobriety, again, has nothing to do with taking a medication. It has nothing, taking methadone is not any different than taking Lipitor or insulin or Suboxone or aspirin. The most important thing from my perspective as a methadone patient is for people to realize that addiction is a disease. There's no disease model of addiction or a disease theory of addiction. It's a fact. I think I said before, the research has been done over and over again by thousands upon thousands of people. It's not a matter of what you believe. Well, like all diseases, it may or may not require medication. In my case, it did. Okay, but there's nothing wrong with that. If I was diabetic and it required medication, I wouldn't feel a desire to get off of it, or I wouldn't think that my wife, who was able to control her diabetes with exercise and diet and controls her intake of sugar, is a better person than I am. I would just think the nature of her disease is different than mine, and that's what addiction is about. The nature of the disease is different, and as I said, we have no way of telling how severe your addiction is, your opiate dependence, or whether you're going to need medication or not. The only way is subjective ways, how you feel, how you respond. And we've let people think that they're weak when they're ill, okay, and that's a shame. And why I'm talking here is I want people to realize that weakness and illness aren't the same thing. We like to say when we talk about recovery is many roads but one destination. And the destination for all of us, whether we're on methadone or alcohol, to go to Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or don't do anything at all, is recovery. And I'm glad about this website because it let people see that there are a lot of roads, as we say, but they all lead to the same destination.